Welcome to Impact News. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Folks, assault weapons makers, they are peeing on us and telling us it's raining. That's right, folks. They want us to believe that they actually believe that they have no responsibility for gun violence, but we're not stupid, okay? The top 5 manufacturers of assault rifles in the United States brought in a combined total of at least $1.7 billion in revenue from AR-15 style weapons. That's over the past decade. The gun industry has thrived by making and selling weapons of war and targeting them and playing to the insecurities of young men, okay? Some making references to the white supremacist movement. Here are the numbers on how profitable it is for them to put your life in jeopardy literally anywhere and everywhere you go, okay? Daniel Defense's revenue from AR-15 style rifles since 2012 was $528 million. The company's revenue from AR-15 style rifles, it tripled from 2019 to 2021 to more than $120 million. Your potential death is very profitable. Ruger is the U.S. largest maker of rifles. Its gross earnings from AR-15 style rifles also nearly tripled, folks, from 2019 to 2021, increasing to more than $103 million from $39 million, okay? Those pistols made and rifles made and guns, were used by the mass shooters in Sutherland Springs, Texas in 2017 and in Boulder, Colorado in 2021. Smith & Wesson, its revenue from all long guns, which include AR-15 style rifles, more than doubled between 2019 and 2021. Their guns used in the Highland Park massacre on July 4th, as well as the Parkland school shooting in Florida in 2018. The company made at least $695 million from AR-15 style weapons since 2012. It is a disgrace. Bushmaster, which made the weapon used in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut in 2012, they claim they have no financial data. They're just telling us to shut up. We'll give you the data if we want to. Sig Sauer, the company that sold the AR-15 style rifle used in a mass shooting in Orlando, Florida at the Pulse nightclub, folks, they refuse to disclose their revenue as well. They're going to kill you and tell you to, you know what, kiss where the sun don't shine. Time's up for these dudes, folks. Time is up for these AR-15 style rifles and these weapons makers. Vote and let's ban that weapon and save our children and everybody else's children's lives. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Stay with me. I've got Ask Dr. K, the International Report, Missing, the Slay Word, and of course, your crypto convo. Stay with me. Here are your news stories from all around the neighborhood and all around the world, beginning with your headlines. Folks, is it the beginning of the end for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas? Also today, folks, the National Urban League says time's up for this new Reconstruction era. Plus, can brain damage explain the rigid thinking of the religious fundamentalist? Also today, secondhand clothing gives fast fashion a run for its money. Kudos for the planet. Then an amazing number of African Americans are victims of gun violence. Plus, the new Oxford Dictionary of African American English. That'll surprise you. It's interesting. Plus, the new PhD program in African American Studies. Also today we have, is there real voting trouble for those North Carolina conservatives? Finally, plus a Trinidadian makes history helping all of us clean up the planet. And the evil of Ron DeSantis and Florida knows no bounds. Stay with me. Well, the end of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has begun, folks. That's right. So far, he's had to cancel plans to teach a seminar this fall at George Washington University's law school, folks. This after thousands of students signed a petition that called for Thomas to be removed from the law school factory. And this is even though the private university in the nation's capital, as you know, they defended the conservative jurist after he did his part to throw out Roe v. Wade and take away a woman's right to police her own body. Thomas has been on the high court for more than 30 years, and he has taught at the D.C. Law School for 11. Bye, Felicia. Go. Also today, National Urban League President Mark Morial is on a mission to stop the vigorous backlash from the conservative right to repeal progress that African Americans made in the 20th century, also to the progress that other people of color have made in the 20th century. Morial says the conservative right presents a danger to civil rights and democracy. The former New Orleans mayor saying it's time to bring down the curtain on this generation's Reconstruction era. We couldn't agree with him more. Now, get this. Scientists say they found a link between religious fundamentalism and brain damage, folks. Yes, a study published in the journal Neuropsychologia says religious fundamentalism, get this, is partly due to a functional impairment in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. That's right, folks. The findings suggest that damage in particular areas of the prefrontal cortex indirectly promotes religious fundamentalism because it diminishes your ability to be flexible and open in your thinking. Isn't that something? All right, the study says this explains why religious fundamentalists are so aggressive towards anyone who doesn't think like them and towards science. The prefrontal cortex can be damaged by brain trauma, also by psychological disorders, also by drug or alcohol impairment and addiction, or simply a particular genetic profile, making you susceptible to religious fundamentalism. Examine yourself. Please do. Please do. All right. We're going to turn to the climate. The fashion industry, oh my goodness, it's being reshaped by the secondhand clothing industry. You know, you all know me. I am a thrifter. That's right, folks. Secondhand clothing is expected to grow from $28 billion in 2019 to $80 billion in 2029. That secondhand clothing market is expanding 21 times faster than the conventional apparel retail industry. Now, this is really going to help mitigate the industry's detrimental environmental impact on the planet. So this is excellent news. The textile industry produces more carbon emissions than the airline and maritime industries combined, people. That's right. And approximately 20% of water pollution across the globe is a result of wastewater from the production and finishing of textiles. If we can get this under control, and we can, because thrifting is better than anything, because you get a deal. So go thrift. All right, the Violence Policy Center says 90% of Black homicide victims were killed with guns. And folks, you should know that African Americans represent 14% of the U.S. population, but account for 52%, yes, of all homicide victims. It's terrible. Of course, we know the police play their role. The annual study, Black Homicide Victimization, and that's the bad cops, not the good ones. The annual study, Black Homicide Victimization in the United States, an analysis of 2019 homicide data. That's the name of the study where this information can be found. Well, what's the worst place for African Americans? The worst state is Missouri, folks, and it is followed by Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Louisiana, Kentucky, Arkansas, Michigan, and Oklahoma. Those states round out the top 10. Be careful if you're living there. Be careful everywhere, but if you're living there, you know you got to be careful. All right, now let's go to Oxford. You know the dictionary. Oxford has a new dictionary called the Oxford Dictionary of African American English. It's so interesting. The editor-in-chief is Harvard University-based historian and Finding Your Roots host, Henry Louis Gates Jr. Now that dictionary is going to debut in 2025. It's very interesting because it's going to provide a comprehensive collection of words and phrases created and used by Black Americans past and present. And of course, we know that means they're used by everybody because we set the trends. Okay. All right, let's go to Emory University, where it's announcing the first African American studies in a PhD program in the Southeast. Yes, folks. The university says the program provides rigorous training and preparation for the PhD, and the students are all fully funded for 5 years. They also get $31,000 stipend every year, and they get health care. That's a good program. All right, they get a tuition remission. Now, each student enrolled in the program is going to get specialized training. There are 3 disciplines under which they can study. Check this out because it's so interesting. The first is gender and sexuality. The second is social justice and social movements. And the third is expressive arts and cultures. I would love to take that program. Isn't that something? Or let's go to politics in North Carolina, where the Republicans are finally figuring it out. No, you're not going to win this, okay, with your meanness and your nastiness towards humanity. Now they're saying, okay. We do favor expanding Medicaid for the working poor. Why wouldn't you? Who doesn't expand Medicaid? Who doesn't believe in that? Helping people who need the help and need health care. Silliness, North Carolina. Throw them all out. The state is now on a path to Medicaid expansion, finally. Now, that tells you the Democrats are doing very well in North Carolina coming up to the midterms, and the Republicans are running scared, as they should, with their mean policies, because Republicans have been against helping low-income families with their health care for decades, people. That's how much trouble they're in. We're about to get some change over there in North Carolina. The program is going to help cover people who make too much to be insured by traditional Medicaid, but too little to take advantage of subsidized private insurance on Obamacare. All right, let's go. Then let's go to the Caribbean, where a Trinidadian waste management specialist, she is making history, folks. She was elected as the president of the United Nations Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants. Yes. Her name is Kima Gardner. She's the first representative from the Caribbean to hold the post. She has been serving Trinidad and Tobago's as their lead negotiator on chemicals and waste since 2014. Yes, ma'am. She's going to play a critical role in advancing global negotiations, also galvanizing international action to hasten the eradication of these toxic chemicals to make the world a better and safer place for all of us. Thank you. And thank you, Trinidad, for producing such a fantastic woman. All right. Unfortunately, we have to go from there to Florida, where Ron DeSantis reigns supreme, and he is pathetic. I mean, Ron DeSantis and the Florida legislature, their evil just knows absolutely no bounds. They are now allowing teachers with no degree. You did hear me correctly. No degree. Yes. Those are the teachers that are going to get 5-year teacher certificates, and they're going to teach your kids, not his kids. No. Not his kids, your kids. That's right, folks. Remember that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis went to Harvard and Yale. So we know he had the benefit of very strong teaching throughout his entire educational career, but that's for Ron, not for you. So there is education lowering the bar on education. That is a recipe for failure. There is no way that these kids are going to be competitive with their peers in the other 49 states. Florida, toss them out while you still can. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Those are your stories. Stay with me for more. It's time for the slave word of the week, and the word this week is ineffable. I-N-E-F-F-A-B-L-E. Ineffable, folks. It is an adjective. You know what that means. It modifies or describes that noun. Its origin is in the 1500s. Let's get the definition. The definition of ineffable is something that is indescribable or unspeakable and cannot be expressed in words. That's right, folks. Something that is taboo, and we all know what that means, so let's use that in a sentence. She felt an ineffable joy at the sight of her son walking after his catastrophic auto accident. Or how about this one? Donald Trump and his minions are ineffable. Let's hope we're done with them once and for all. Ineffable, that's your slave word of the week. It means something that is indescribable or unspeakable and that cannot be expressed in words, something that is taboo. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Use the slave word, level up your vocab all week.
Anyone who thinks that slavery ended in the 1860s with the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation are grievously wrong.
If we caught a bird, we ate through the feathers and ate the bird. We didn't have nothing to cook on. We didn't have no stove.
You know who you are and who we are.
We're still on that big plantation.
She was bonded to them until they died. She was their slave.
They said, bro, we're going to be killed tonight.
Could that same white dude keep terrorists there, or Russian spies, or the KGB, and the government wouldn't know it? No.
They thought I was beat so bad that I couldn't do nothing, but I did.
I'm Carol Angela Davis, and thank you for joining me on Missing, because this, of course, is our segment where we search for missing African-American girls. Please help us find them. Lashaya Stein was 16 years old when she disappeared from Aurora, Colorado in 2016. There is surveillance video of Lashaya walking in the area of East Montview Boulevard and North Peoria Street in Aurora. Lashaya was seen during the early hours of July 15, 2016. She was wearing a black V-neck shirt, black stonewashed jeans, and a silver watch on her left arm. She also has a round scar on her chest. There is a $15,000 reward in Lashaya's case. Call Crime Stoppers with any information to help us find Lashaya Stein. Where are you? We are working to find you, and with the community's help, we will. We're back with your international report with Dr. Inyang Ebong Harstrip. Thank you, Ini, for joining us. with this report.
Yes, Carol, good afternoon. I want to talk today about Taiwan and the price it's going to pay for having disobeyed China by having Nancy Pelosi, who was the first US lawmaker to come to Taiwan in 25 years, come and visit. And while the saber rattling has been quite sharp, and you would think that they would want to punish the United States, I think the Chinese are smarter than that. They're also looking at Xi Jinping, who is going for an unprecedented third term of leadership. So we don't want big drama, but they have to save face because they made all this fuss. So what's going to happen? Taiwan is going to bear the brunt. First and foremost, there are going to be military exercises around the ports and in the airspace. And that is going to be really, really rattling for the Taiwanese. They're already sending out messages and looking to partner with Japan and the Philippines to find alternate routes for people that ship to Taiwan. The other thing that China is going to do is punish them economically. So we have certain imports that have now been banned, but Nancy Pelosi promised them backing to help them maintain their vibrant democracy.
Well,
so they will not be alone.
Yes, yes. And I'm sure she went over there, so they had the conversation. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much, Dr. Inying Ebong-Harstrup, your international report. We thank you for tuning in. Stay with it. We've got more right after this. We are back with you with your Crypto Convos with Lionel the Builder Sap. Welcome, Lionel.
Hi, thanks for having me. So
what's on tap today?
I have a little bit of unfortunate news to report for one of my most favorite projects, Solana. This week, recently, 7,900 wallets were hacked for a total of, I believe it was 7 million in losses so far. So I just wanted to drop that news and just let people know to do everything that you can to secure your wallets and make sure that the exchanges that you're using are the professional, reputable ones. Use a VPN if you have to. Get a hard wallet, a ledger, something that is not software on your computer if you have to, and do all the different measures that you can. This is a reminder that crypto is still a very new emerging market. And when you're dealing with something as technologically savvy as crypto, that's where you attract a lot of people who know how to hack into these things. So
well, good advice. Thank you so much, Lionel. You know, it's all shaking itself out now. So we know this is bound to happen. We thank you so much. That's Lionel the Builder Sap with your Crypto Convos for the week. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Lionel, and have a great week yourself.
you too. Bye.
Thank you. I am Carol Angela Davis. This is Ask Dr. K, because we always close the show with you in mind and your health. And this week's topic, Dr. K, if I remember correctly, is Black female mortality.
Definitely. You know, we really have to talk about Heather Gray. Heather Gray was the Emmy-winning executive producer of The Talk. She came from the Tyra Banks show. She went to Brown University. She was a lawyer, and she died. She died of a quote unquote terrible illness at the age of 50. The illness was plasma cell leukemia, and it is a derivative, a very bad derivative of multiple myeloma. And Heather Gray was diagnosed in 2019, and she even received a stem cell transplant, and the disease came back, and she died in 2022. So what is multiple myeloma? It is a cancer of one of the blood cells, but it is 3 to 4 times more likely in African Americans, usually are men. And research, for one thing, is being done targeted towards our community, which is fantastic, let's face it. But the research is asking, if you have an autoimmune disease prevalence in your family, are you more likely to get it? And the reason why I'm raising this topic is because we know that the autoimmune diseases are related to inflammation. We know that cancer is related to inflammation. And we know that the animal-based diet is an inflammatory diet. And so food as medicine strikes again. What we eat is incredibly important. The whole foods plant-based diet is a diet where everything is whole and orange, not a supplement. Everything comes from the dirt, beans, grains, nuts, fruits, vegetables. Whereas the animal-based diet is everything that comes from an animal, and it's very much associated with chronic diseases, cancers. Now, in the case of this disease, multiple myeloma, the other question that's being asked is this disease related to inflammation as are many cancers? How is it related to infection? And therefore, how is it related to what we call the microbiome, which is the family of bacteria that lives in our gut? How do we control the bacteria that lives in our gut and make sure we have healthy bacteria? We eat according to our genome, and that is the whole foods plant-based diet. Someone is going to get these chronic diseases, but the more information we know, the more we can make sure that we try to avoid it at all costs. Thank you so much. We are what we eat. Food is indeed our medicine. Thank you.
It really is. Dr. K, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you also for tuning in each week here on Impact News. We thank you. We'll see you next week. Dr. K will be here with you, closing out the show with your health in mind. Thank you, Dr. K.
Thank you so much. Have a great week.
And for all of us at Impact News, thank you.